Hello everyone, welcome to our Söngvakeppnin prediction video. Today we're going to be going through the 5 finalists and discussing who we think is going to be the Icelandic representative in Rotterdam. With me we have Icelandic expert, Wiv, and actual Icelander,
Hlynur.
There we go. And yeah, we should just dive straight in. What are our overall thoughts of the selection this year?
I think that for a change, we have more than one standout song. In the past years, we've had like one song that's like a very obvious favorite. Like last year, no one was in any doubt whatsoever that Hattari was gonna win the ticket to Tel Aviv. And at least in my opinion, and I think in most people's opinions, this year it's actually a 3-way race between Daði Freyr and Dimma and Eva.
Yeah, I think that as well.
Why do we think those 3 favorites have kind of separated themselves from the pack? What? Because they're 3 very different songs.
Yeah, very. I don't know. I've been thinking a lot about this, and I think what they realized last year was that bringing in something that's different and that stands out from the pack is a good idea. And this year they managed to get 2 songs that are different and stand out from the pack. And in addition, they got Daði Freyr, who's really popular and just owns the stage when he's up there.
How has the reaction been in Iceland to the selection overall? Because obviously it's very well followed domestically, but in terms of the momentum, because they tend to get behind their acts regardless of who goes, I find, but with a kind of a more competitive selection of songs, has there been a kind of an increase in interest or at least excitement about who they have to put forward?
It's difficult to say. I hear a lot at work, like everywhere around, like so many voices, all kinds of people. I mean, some people like the song, some people hate them, or all the in between. Yeah, I hear some people listening to their song, like my neighbor was listening to Daði Freyr's song this morning. I could hear you like crumbling through my door, like through the ground. I usually never hear anything unless they're playing piano. So I guess they will vote for Daði Freyr up here. Then I've heard some people say like they think Dimma will win. They like the song, they think it's strong, and I think we'll definitely be better in the final. I think they were more of a show. So that's a thing. And then there's something about Eva. I mean, the kids seem to like her as well at the when I went to the second semifinals. And yeah, something about her.
Definitely. What were you going to say?
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that just a comment to what you said, that Icelanders stand behind their entry no matter what they send. It's kind of funny because when the songs are selected, a lot of people are critical. But come like mid-April, the entire country thinks that they're going to win. And this happens every single year.
No, not every single year. There is an exception. And you know it. You know.
Even 2018, they thought they were going to win.
No, who did?
Yes.
It's funny that you mentioned 2018 because I feel like if you look, I mean, the difference between Ari and Hattari, huge, can be bigger. So I think if they send any of the top 3 that we've mentioned, not knowing if they are in fact the actual top 3, well, there's a top 2, but in terms of who has the most votes from the semis, they're continuing to make strides in the right direction, which I think is quite exciting. Just looking at maybe an outside perspective, not just domestically, because obviously there's no way of telling where YouTube views come from. Davi is actually leading the YouTube views, followed by Eva and then Dima in third. Then Nina is fourth, and then the duet is fifth.
Yeah.
And the duet is Isolde and Helga.
Yeah. There's actually a theory flying around that Dimma got almost all the votes in semi one. Because a lot of us were a bit like Nina got the wild card. Everyone was kind of expecting Elisabeth from semi one to get it. But the thing is, what we understand is that they gave the wild card to the third placed entry with the most votes. So that would be Nina. And Dimma is fairly massive in Iceland. It's that they're really, really popular. So what we're thinking is that if they got just about all the votes in semi one, they might be a bigger favorite than the YouTube views suggest.
That's a very good point. I think with a country like Iceland, with such a comparatively small population, it's hard to tell. It's a bit almost like a country like Armenia, where you don't really know if the interest in, if the tastes in the country itself vary a lot from what Eurovision fans like. So in terms of Eurovision fans, Eva is top of my Eurovision scoreboard, followed by Nina, and then Davi, then Isolde and Helga, and then Dima's fifth. So it's almost a complete reverse, with the exception of Eva kind of having a cross appeal. And what it suggests to me, I feel like if Dima ends up in the super final, they could seriously take it, especially if it's 100%, because it's 100% televote. And I think that's something that a lot of Eurovision fans might not 100% be aware of or expecting.
Yeah,
so that's kind of my hot take.
Yeah, I think that's very right.
How do we think Iceland will fare if it, regardless of who they send, in its semi-final? Because they're in semi-final 2, and it's already looking quite open in terms of the countries participating, due to the fact that none of the countries in the final are usually countries that qualify every year. Mm-hmm. A lot of them are coming off non-qualifications in the last few contests. I think Denmark is like the strongest in the final, in the semi-final, in terms of its history, even though you wouldn't consider Denmark to be that strong a country. So I personally think Iceland has a very good shot of qualification this year, if any of those three go.
I think especially if Eva goes, because she is probably the most standout of the three. And it seems that everybody likes it. It's like no matter what age you are or where you're from. I've played it to a few people here in Norway as well, both Eurovision people and non-Eurovision people, and everyone's like, wow. But she needs a different staging. I'm very excited to see what they're going to do in the final for her.
I quite like the staging. I think it's worth noting that the national final stage is smaller than what it will be in Rotterdam.
Yeah.
So whoever goes will have to think about how they use the stage. I would venture to say that any of those three would stand out, due to the fact that there's nothing really in the contest so far that challenges them in terms of their style. I think you have a very strong operatic, ethereal song with Eva. You have a rock song from Dima, which are in the current field is very rare, and we're not likely to get another rock song of that nature and of that quality. And then Davi is has a lot of meme appeal, which is good.
Well,
similar to what the Roop has, actually. I think that's the only other song I feel like is appealing to the same demographic in terms of people who like something a bit more fun but still has a quality to it.
Mm.
So yeah, I think Iceland are looking pretty strong this year, I have to say, unless Isolde and Helga pull like some kind of shock win. I'm quite optimistic. In a word, who do we think is
Icelander? Being optimistic about our future.
I mean, I'm not usually optimistic about most things, so it's a good sign.
I just wanted to say that what we see this year as well, as we always do, which is something I've always said about Iceland, you can say what you want about their entry, but they always send good singers. There's been like one or two exceptions.
I was about to say.
I'll go with that. But as a rule, Iceland always send good artists. So I think that no matter who wins, even if we get, I mean, whether we get one of the big three favorites or we have a surprise, musically and vocally, it's going to be really, really good. That said, I think this is the first year I have no idea who's going to win.
Ooh.
I really have no idea. Based on the votes theory, I would say Dima. Based on who everyone likes, I would say Eva. And based on the fun factor and, well, also, I mean, they're just so nice and fun, I would say that on Gagnamagnið. But I think everyone agrees, though, that the other two, unfortunately, are just there. It's going to be one of these three, and I have no idea who.
Hlynur, who do you think is going to win?
I think difficult to say. It really is. They are so different, and I think I'm going to say Wiv and Hlynur because I don't know. I think people are kind of regretting not sending them last time. So maybe that will give them a push to they deserve to go based on on their other song as well. So it got built up, and he seems to have a big Eurovision fan base. Yeah. And I haven't seen much of Dimma in the newspapers, not much. They don't seem to be in it for the push. I haven't seen any articles. I haven't read anything about them, so I don't know how involved they are, how much they wanted. At least Daði and his group seems to want it most. Oh, Eva wants it as well, but she does.
I'm sure they all do. I mean,
put a gun to my head and I'll probably say Eva.
Yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm not convinced that Dima would make it to the super final if there's a jury vote. So I think that's the only way I think Dima is out of the running, because I think if they make it to the super final, knowing that they're quite popular, that could push them, especially if it's Dima and Daði. I just think Eva is gonna definitely be in the super final because there's a jury component, and then I feel like because her song is so compelling and she's so compelling, that might push her. But I think it's going to be very tight, so it could go either way.
I'm really excited to see what they're going to do with her staging, because, as you said, the stage in Rotterdam is going to be bigger, but so is the stage in the final. It's much bigger than the semi-stage. A lot of people are saying that she looked really nervous. I'm not sure if I agree, but a lot of people say she looked really nervous. She was wringing her hands, and so perhaps do it a bit darker, get some smoke in there. My idea was just getting the dancer from Fjaðrir back in 2015, because I think exactly that the same dancer would complement this entry marvelously. And also perhaps arrange the backing singers a bit differently so that they're more, I don't know, more a unit.
Yeah, I think the good thing about her entry is that there's a lot of potential in terms of staging. There's a lot of ways they can go with it. I think they need to workshop some things and see. But I definitely agree that she needs to look more comfortable on stage, because otherwise it takes you out of the atmosphere in the moment of the song. If she's kind of twiddling her fingers and is looking slightly nervous, her vocals were very shaky to begin with. But then as soon as the kind of the tone of the song kind of ramps up, she got a lot more comfortable. I'm hoping to see her nerves melt away, knowing that she has support. But yeah, I think if all goes well, I think Eva is my pick, but I could see Dima or Davi take it as well, which isn't particularly helpful if you have to pick one name, but that's where we're at. So there you have it. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. We'll have a lot more content coming in the run up to Rotterdam, and when we're in Rotterdam as well. And whoever wins, we'll act Icelandic and get behind it regardless, because there's a lot of talent. And yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Can one or both of you sign off in Icelandic, please?
You go.
Verið sæl og blessuð. That's so much.
Beautiful. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Bye. Bye.